Welcome to Lesson 4. This is where Python stops feeling like other languages and starts feeling like itself. We're covering control flow, if, for, while, and comprehensions. You already know these concepts from JavaScript or Java, but Python's idioms are different. Look at that one line on screen. 4 operations, fully idiomatic. By the end of this lesson, that's the shape you'll be writing. So here's the roadmap. 4 skills, in order. First, conditionals with Python's Truthiness rules, where an empty list is just false and you stop writing len x, 0. Second, for and while loops, including the break continue else pattern, most beginners never learn exists. Third, comprehensions, the move senior devs reach for before they even consider a for loop. And fourth, match case, Python's modern pattern matching that quietly replaces those long if-elif chains. Let's start with the first one. Python's if-elif-else uses indentation instead of braces. Clean, but nothing shocking yet. The real shift is the truthy-falsy trick. False, none, 0, empty string, empty list, empty dict, empty set. Python treats all of them as false. So instead of writing if len items greater than 0 and items is not none, the senior just writes if items. Same meaning, half the noise. And when you need a quick one-liner, the ternary, pass if score is at least 60 else fail, keeps it on a single readable line. Now, loops. The rule is simple. If you know what you're iterating over, a list, a range, a file, reach for for. Save while for the cases where you genuinely don't know how many rounds you need. And when you need both the index and the value, don't write for I in range, len items. That's a beginner smell. Use enumerate. It's the senior reflex. Pair that with break and continue for early exits, and you've covered 95% of real Python loops. And speaking of senior reflexes, this is the big one. If your for loop is just building up a list by transforming or filtering, collapse it into a comprehension. 3 lines become 1, it runs faster, and it reads like the intent itself. The same shape works for dicts and sets, just swap the brackets. 4 patterns, 1 mental model. Take this, optionally filter it, transform it, collect it. Now, when your branching gets past 3 or 4 cases, especially when you're checking the same variable against different values, reach for match case. Python 3.10 borrowed this from Rust and Scala, and it's a clean win on readability. Notice the pipe operator letting you group multiple values into one branch, and the underscore acting as your default. Use it for HTTP codes, API event types, enum-like values, anywhere a long if-elif chain starts feeling like noise. Let's see all 4 patterns working together. A list comprehension filters down to paid orders, a dict comprehension groups totals by customer, then a for loop with match case dispatches each order to the right handler. 12 lines for filter, group, and dispatch. In Java or JavaScript, this is easily 30. That's the senior Python shape, readable, compact, idiomatic. Now let's zoom out and collect the daily reflexes. 6 small habits that quietly mark the difference between Python that looks Python and Python that reads like translated JavaScript. Lean on truthiness instead of len. Reach for enumerate, never range, len. Prefer a comprehension over for plus append. Walk 2 lists with zip. Remember for else exists for clean search loops. And once you hit 4 branches on the same value, retire the if-elif chain and use match. Small moves, compounded across thousands of scripts. And here's the whole toolkit on one page. 12 patterns covering every shape of control flow you'll write day to day. Truthy checks, branching, the ternary. Plain iteration, with index, in parallel. While loops, break, and continue, and the 4 comprehension forms, list, set, dict, and the match statement for Python 3.10 and up. Screenshot this one. Once these 12 feel automatic, You're writing Python, not translating it. Now 5 tells that mark code as beginner work. Every one of these gets flagged in review. Indexing with range and len instead of enumerate. Verbose truthy checks when a plain if x would do. Mutating a list while you're looping over it. Classic skip element bug. Stacking 4 or more elif branches when match case or a dict would read cleaner, and while true with no visible exit. Recognize these in your own code, and you'll skip a whole category of feedback. Time to make these idioms muscle memory with 3 quick exercises. First, hunt down a verbose if statement in your old code and refactor it to a truthy check. Do it 3 times and the reflex sticks. Second, take a 4-line filter loop and collapse it into a single comprehension you can read left to right like English. Third, write a dispatch event function with 5 cases using match case, not if elif. Nail these, and Lesson 05 on functions builds right on top. And that's Lesson 04 in the bag. Truthy checks, loops, comprehensions, and match case, all working together to make your control flow feel genuinely Pythonic. Next up, functions. That's where def, args, quargs, scope, and lambda come in. And honestly, it's where JavaScript and Java developers tend to stumble, because Python's idioms diverge fast. Bring what you learned here, and I'll see you in Lesson 05.